For more on the violence against Indigenous women in Winnipeg, we're joined by Angie Tuesday. She's the family liaison for the Winnipeg Police Service and deals directly with families of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. Angie, thanks for being with us. It's been a rough couple of weeks with the news that 4 Indigenous women have been murdered by an alleged serial killer. Can you tell us about your role as the family liaison for the Winnipeg Police?
So my role with the families is to essentially provide support to families and some advocacy in terms of connecting them with police investigative units, connecting them with outside resources, providing them with some support while they're going through this tremendous loss.
Has those conversations, I guess, been difficult this time around, given where we're at in terms of the relationship with the Indigenous peoples and the police at this point?
Mm-hmm. I can tell you it's always difficult, right? Because you're meeting people at a point where they're going through a tremendous shock and a huge loss to their family system. I can tell you that with what's been happening recently in Winnipeg and in Manitoba is, I'm finding that there's been a lot of community supports that are providing these additional wraparound services to families. But it's a situation that impacts us all. It impacts the family that's currently having lost a loved one. It's impacting other families of missing and murdered Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit folks. It's impacting the people who are providing, on the ground supports. It's impacting, investigators. It's impacting the community as a whole. So each case is very difficult because grief is a traumatic time for people. But this particular situation that's happening in Winnipeg has been far-reaching in terms of the impacts.
Are you comfortable sharing your thoughts on the refusal to search the landfill and the Police Services Board saying it's up to Indigenous peoples to figure it out?
Mm-hmm. I can say that I feel for the families and how that decision must have impacted them, and I've seen it because I've been able to walk a little bit of that journey with them, and it's something that weighs on us. It's something that I wouldn't want to be in the position to have to make a decision like that, and I just feel for the families. I think that's all I can really say on that.
This is difficult work that you do that clearly has an impact on you. Mm-hmm. Well, why was this a role that you wanted to take on? It's kind of a long story. So when I was 16, I lost my sister to violence. She was a victim of a domestic homicide. And so at that point, I became a spokesperson for my family and advocating for my family. I've been through that court process, although in a different way from other families, right? But that's led me to this road of supporting other families who are going through loss, supporting other families through the court process. And I think I bring that, my own personal experience, with me to the table, because although each of us have different specific experience, it's a shared experience having gone through loss and grief and losing someone to violence in this way. So that's what's brought me here. I also know that
there's a need for my position within the police service, and I think there's a desire for those investigators in those different units to be able to learn more about the role that I play, learn more about how I connect with communities and engage with families, in hopes of improving their own relationships later on. I think there's a big interest and a need, definitely, for that to continue.
Angie, we'll have to leave it there, but appreciate you sharing and joining us today in the work that you do.
You bet.